As we've gotten to this point in the process, there's a lot of activity. There's been obviously a lot of things in the press most recently, and there's been a tremendous amount of questions. And I'm sure in talking to each of y'all, you received a lot of questions about what's going on up the beach. We see bits and pieces, there's concerns, and we've read things in the paper. So we thought it was important to bring everybody together and sort of have a catch-up where you get your chance to ask directly and openly all the questions that you may have or the concerns that have been raised about the various aspects. So while there's a couple of items on here, really there's probably a bunch of different items that'll come out of this discussion involving the whole beach casino project. So we've asked Morganti and REG to attend along with the engineers and the staff. And I just want to make y'all understand, one of my first tasks in taking on this effort was assembling a management team to oversee this project, which really didn't exist before. I have William Waters, who brings to the table experience with, of course, the regulatory side of the ledger. I have Jamie Brown, who is going to be the expert on the facility side. Juan Ruiz, our leisure services director, is overseeing the business plan aspect of how it's going to be run. And of course, Steve Carr, finance director, has been instrumental in everything from the financing to how we've pulled together the business plan and some of the projections going forward in the budget. So from a management team perspective, I have multiple people spending a tremendous amount of time working on this project. I also want to recognize Brad Lucas, who's been our eyes and ears, the owner's representative on the site. And when we talked about the punch list or the warranty list or what we're calling the outstanding issues and warranties list, he's the one that actually helped really generate that along with Patrick Painter on our staff and get that to the contractor. So with that said, I'd like to just open it up to questions, I guess, or any kind of issues that you're concerned about. I've got everybody here, and we can dive right into those issues with the contractor, the architect, or staff.
The only question I have is, Pam, if we're going to have public participation,
yes,
and one time that they can come up and ask questions about both issues, would now be the time to do it before, so that those issues can be addressed, or?
That's the commission's call. If they would like to hear from the public before they raise their questions, that would be fine.
You may want to ask your questions first in this case, because a lot of the things that you may be asking are things that you've heard from the public, and it may be addressed in the discussions, Mayor.
Okay. Questions, fellow commissioners? Vice Mayor? Because you're all red.
Ladies and gentlemen, just for the record, I was in the sun all day, doing some grass with about up to my kneecaps.
We can't hear you on the microphone, Commissioner, if you want to please.
Don't let it touch his laptop.
Okay. So you want me to lead off?
I would love that. Thank you.
So much, Mayor. I guess everyone's expecting me to dive right into this because, as many of you know, I wasn't terribly supportive of this project to begin with because I felt it should not have been a priority for the community, given the unemployment, the economy, our city's finances, our ability to pay for a project such as this. And yes, I've been a doubting Thomas through virtually every step of the way. Most of the things that I predicted were probably going to happen have happened. There were a number of commitments made to the community as to what this project would be like, what it was all about, how we were going to get there, and very few of those commitments have been made. Some of it is the city's concern. Some of it, I believe, has to do with perhaps the construction or the design. But I do have a few questions in light of, and I will tell all of you gentlemen, I have not set foot on that construction site. I have not set foot at one time, at any time, on that construction site. I was never invited by any one of you to go up there, and I did not go on that construction site. What I know, or what I believe I know about that building, is what I read in the papers and the photographs that I've seen. So, with that, I'll get into it as best I can. I guess this goes to Morganti. The question I have is, what are the major items that you currently need to address to finish the project?
Sure, there's several open warranty issues outstanding. Most of them relate to paint and some cosmetic things. There's a recent revision to the design that was approved by the city last week to add some features to help provide additional water intrusion protection to the building, that we're scheduling to do that work now.
Would you explain to everybody what warranty issues means for Laker people out there listening or folks in the audience, what that means?
Sure. It's something that, the city or client may not like. I think Brad developed a list of warranty items that we've been addressing, working through. He found some holidays in the paint in the door, or doesn't like the way the tile's set, and we've been taking care of those items.
So warranty, like if I bought a car, if I went down to the Acura dealer and bought a car, and I had a problem with the car, I'd take it back to the dealer, and the dealer would take care of the warranty issues, right? So in this case, it would be Morganti taking care of the issues.
Yes, as they're applicable to the project.
The first thing I want to jump into is the ballroom floor, because I understand there's a swimming pool now on the second floor. And I'd like to, I understand there's a considerable amount of water that was gathering on the second floor and covered the new wood floor. Is that pretty much a true statement?
The building did experience water intrusion during Tropical Storm Isaac, yes.
So it was a tropical storm, wasn't the design of the building?
I can't speak to the design commission.
So how are we handling that?
We're providing some extra drainage features on the exterior balcony areas to allow for water to drain faster than it would typically do. Apparently, some of the water intrusion issues during the storm was that although the building is draining as it should, the wind-driven rain was pushing water back into the building faster than it could drain. So we've come up with some remediations to help the water drain out faster in the event of a storm.
Was the floor built correctly?
Yes.
So it's pitched properly, the
It
balcony
is
pitched properly?
Correct. Yes.
So what are we doing about the wood floor? Obviously, wood and water don't mix. How are we moving forward with that?
Sure. We've been monitoring the moisture content of the wood floor. Wood floors, by their nature, have a certain moisture content. Varies, could be as 15% and down. We're monitoring the water content of the floors, and once the intrusion, the preventative measures to prevent water intrusion in the building are done, the floors will be refinished, sir.
Well, I guess my question to you is, you built the building on the ocean. You didn't put enough drains in it to drain for a storm. And you're just going to dry the floor up and deliver it to us that way?
It'll be just like it was when it was originally installed.
See, Andrew, that won't be, in my mind, that's not going to be an acceptable alternative. So I'm going to be having a conversation with you and maybe bring it up to the commission. That wood floor, in my humble opinion, needs to be brand spanking new, the way we paid for it, not after you guys have tried it out.
Do we have, Commissioner Maxwell, any, I mean, I'm not a wood floor expert. We have any facts on, I know when water intrusion happens in a home, my house flooded 2 days after my honeymoon, and I had a remediation company come in and do certain things. Do we know the longevity of a floor? I mean, if it can be brought back to the way, do you know anything to the contrary?
I know that no matter what somebody tells me, I'm going to be hard pressed to think in 6 months or a year when the floor starts to buckle, or it doesn't perform the way it should, or it has to be replaced, that we're going to have another conversation. And that is, why did we do it right the first time? Okay. What I'm hearing from Morganti, and I'm hearing from them, is that maybe they didn't put enough drains in there.
Well, I would keep it to the facts and get their answers on it and let them use accusatory tones. So I would prefer that if we could. Go through all your punch lists, though. You know what I mean? If you want to bring fact to the matter, if you know to the contrary that wood can't be salvaged, then I'd appreciate that conversation. But, you know, I mean, just the facts, Jack. No, ask away, because I think your questions are very valid.
Let's talk about the $6 million guaranteed maximum price. you have dollar value to start with, and you work backwards from there. How did we end up with rusty hardware and rusty doors and leaks? Can somebody help me with that?
So we provided what was in the contract documents. We've been working with the designers to come up with some alternative materials that would probably be more suitable or better suitable, less maintenance for the city.
Why wouldn't they put in initially?
We followed the contract documents. That's what was in there.
The hardware that was specified was selected with standard care for the budget that was appropriated and installed as specified, and it should perform as, you know, as directed if it is maintained properly and manufacturer's specifications are followed. This would be the same hardware that would be installed in any other building in the same condition.
So you're saying it's a manufacturer's defect?
It could be either a manufacturer's defect or a maintenance issue.
But who's responsible for the maintenance?
The city, sir.
We haven't taken the building yet, have we?
Yes.
We have taken the building?
What?
William, you might help me out on this one.
What? What?
Quiet in the chambers, please.
This is one of those glitch issues that has been sort of not thought of when the project was first established, about when people take over the structure, who is responsible for the maintenance, and what the contract documents state. Clearly, we're not maintaining the building at this point in time, and William, you might want to elaborate on how we got to this point. You can see the circular argument that this is going to get into. And this is one of the things, one of the unfortunate situations we find us in as partners in this whole project. Our stated goal, though, is to get the building finished with everything installed correctly and performing right. That particular issue is being addressed, and it's being addressed by the contractor, the designer.
So at whose cost are these fixtures going to be replaced?
It's all within the guaranteed maximum price from our standpoint. So it's not technically an issue that's going to fall out of that.
So what would you have to cut out of the project to pay for the new parts that you're going to put in the building?
Nothing.
So you're going to cut into your profit?
Yes.
What significant things did you have to cut out of this project to meet the $6 million maximum price?
Can you talk into me? I'm sorry, it's
I was told, sit back, lean forward.
I can barely hear you. I'm right next to
You need to put your screen down a little bit so you can get your mic a little closer if you can. There you go. Or the other way.
The other way?
There you go.
What did you all have to cut out of the project? What significant things did you cut out of the project to get to $6 million?
Can you speak into the mic?
Yes, the enhanced bead commissioning, the cistern elements were one of the things that we had to eliminate.
And I guess, what level of green certification are we going to get out of that bad boy up there?
It will be certified, which was the project goal.
The project goals have high level of certification, so where are we going to be on the certification chart?
Certified, which is the first level.
Just barely enough.
That's what the project goal was from the beginning.
You know, I sat here when we were talking about the financing and the cost of the project, and I looked Morganti in the eye and said, $6 million, not a penny more. Not a penny more. And you all agreed to that. So I made the motion to move forward with, you know, getting everybody on board. Then we come to find out that apparently there were some other costs associated with you guys actually constructing the building. Infrastructure. When did you guys learn that there were no electrical or water hookups to your $6 million project?
Never in the GFP.
before we went for the $6 million, that the hookups and everything were not going to be part of the project?
Yeah, that wasn't our determination.
That's not what was my question. You knew before we went to the $6 million, we voted for $6 million, you knew that that wasn't going to be all it was going to take to build that building?
We made our scope perfectly clear what was in the $6 million.
So are you saying, sir, that you did know that that didn't cover the infrastructure? That's what I want to know.
The infrastructure that's in the
I'm talking
Beach contract.
the water. Oh, sounds like deja vu all over again. I'm talking about the water and the electric hookup that is required to power the building and make the building functional.
I believe that's in the Beach contract as planned.
Do you all have any questions while I go through my notes?
Commissioner Marceau?
Okay, I wasn't here from day one. I inherited this project.
Me too.
I've been to the beach project. I think it's a beautiful project. However, I had problems with doorknobs, the things we're looking at. At the end of the day, I feel comfortable that we have contracts, we have professionals, and that you're going to fix our problems. Out of the 49 punch list, has any of that been done yet?
Yes, sir, we have, the list, we updated it today, we spoke about it. There's a few items left, mostly have to do with painting and some aesthetics works. We're working from the outside of the building in to help facilitate Mulligan's opening next week.
Have the doorknobs been replaced?
We're still working on trying to find,
The rusted doors?
yes, we're working with REG and some other manufacturer suppliers to find probably a better, more suitable product for the door hardware. But, I think REG will agree that, at the end of the day, Morganti will stand behind the building, as will REG, and you're going to be happy with the building.
That was some of my concerns. You're the professionals, and I need to know that whatever you put up there, whether it's a maintenance, and we should have done it, you should have done it. At the end of the day, when you walk away from this project, that in 6 months these doors don't rust again. I need is there any kind of insurance that how does it break down with warranties? Because if I paint my house and the paint runs in 2 weeks, there's an insurance. Same thing with the floor in the ballroom. I truly believe that that floor should be replaced. And if it's not replaced in 6 months when it buckles, who's responsible for it? Because there was water damage prior. So I want to make sure as we move forward that any of the warranties, any of these things, that everybody knows exactly where we are, because doorknobs rusted already. If the doorknobs rust again, what's the procedure and how do we fix those as soon as possible?
And can I answer that?
Yes.
I'd love to answer that for you. Our typical process on a construction job is before the 12-month warranty expiration, around the 11th month, we'll do a follow-up visit with the contractor, any of the major subs, our office, your staff. We'll walk through and make sure before the warranty expires, if there's any kind of issues still remaining, that they are addressed along that time.
And I'm sorry.
If necessary.
Okay, and then my other question would be, I understand through Kilwins and Mamma Mia's that there were holes drilled to relieve water from the top floor, because I asked Kilwins how they were moving forward, and he said we still have holes and buckets dripping into our... How do we take care of our tenants that are there, that are looking to move forward with build-outs? How fast are we going to get the problem fixed upstairs so we can, because at some point we may have to address this with our tenants.
That work, sir, is starting tomorrow.
Okay,
So we're on it.
okay, so we're moving forward with that.
I have a follow-up.
I want to ask something on that one too. I have stepped foot on the property many times, because I'm so excited and I've been out there. I wasn't invited, I just went out.
Thanks, Barry.
I'll invite you next time I'm going. The floor in the ballroom, and I know we were talking about it in a little moment there, but I think before this whole flooding issue happened, though, there might have been a previous incident or something, because there was an issue with the leveling of the floor in that ball. Something was not right with that floor. My own perspective on it, but this was before Isaac, and there was an issue, there was something, it was uneven or wasn't level, or there was some sort of warping in the floor, I don't know. Again, if you can address that and just make sure that there was an issue before that flooding, so, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like him to address it now. Because it sounds to me like you were suggesting that Isaac was responsible culprit for the floor, and apparently there were issues prior to that. If the mayor's got her facts straight.
I didn't see it after Isaac, so I don't know what the difference is. Obviously, that's water. I mean, I saw pictures, so I understand that there were issues, but I did notice something not right in the flooring beforehand. Sorry.
We'll be happy to go back and take a look, so moving forward, we'll follow the manufacturer's recommendations to address this.
I'm just concerned it's a ballroom and there are going to be lots of parties and things there from a safety standpoint. I just want to make sure everything is okay. And I know that it's your job too, but I just think that there's just something not right.
Thank you. I know when we were interviewing potential contractors for this project, one of the things that you all brought to the table, that you were a very multinational, very large multinational company. And we also asked about beach projects. I understand you told us you've done beach projects in the past. Is that correct?
I believe so, sir.
I can't get away from the hardware issue. It just seems to me that when you put something on the ocean, that you put something that is marine grade, is that the term? That is not going to rust. I'm having a little trouble understanding how we got there. And if it was the city that said we want the Ace hardware special, why didn't you all tell us that that's not the way to go, that we need to do it a different way in order to preserve the integrity of the product, long term?
Was the hardware recommended for use in this type of climate, is the question?
Yeah, the answer is yes. The oiled rub bronze finish on the hardware was recommended for this climate. And you got to remember, this project was $6 million, guaranteed maximum price. That was developed through the plans, design development, construction documents, with input from the architects, the contractors, the subcontractors, and the city staff, some of which no longer are here. The oil rub bronze finish and even the stainless steel finish is rusted. Now, the stainless steel, like the doors and the elevators, is the maintenance. There have been discussions about the completion of this project. Substantial completion of this project was in May of this year. That's 5 months ago. There's been discussions about, well, the maintenance or lack of maintenance of the material. That's one area. Another area is on the coding issues from the manufacturer. We're researching that. But we don't want to wait. So instead of waiting and coming back in the 11th month and replacing it, at Morganti's suggestion, we've been looking at higher quality hardware for the doors, right, Matt? And we're trying to replace that instead of go and argue with the manufacturers on whether their specs are holding up, and then they're going to blame us because nobody's been maintaining it. We talked to the city manager about the lack of maintenance on a lot of these things, so instead of arguing about those things and knowing that the building needs to open, we're going ahead and we're just replacing